So everything keeps moving on. Everything cycles around us in this universe. And from our perspective at this time, the sun has now moved on into another portion of the sky, and the backdrop behind it is hexagram number 24. And we're now in the astrological sign of Taurus. The sun is in this, and we're gradually moving through Taurus. This is the last of the hexagrams that has lightning or thunder or the arousing, the solid broken chop marks at the bottom of it. So there can be tremendous revelations that happen through this 24th hexagram. But we'll see what it is that brings all this about. I see the 24 very much as the gateway of deep thought, the profound thinking process of really wanting to get into something and find out, what's the answer? I want to know. And the gateway itself is called returning. And returning in that this is a mental process that goes around and around and around. And those of you that have this 24th gateway in your design, you'll know this, that your mind, you get onto something, you start thinking about something, and you just can't let go of it. And the mind comes around right away with an answer. Yeah, well, it could be like this, but then let's send it around again. Let's have another look at it. So it's a refining mind process, round and round and round it goes. It keeps coming back. And so people with a 24 in their design, you'll know you're very, very good at answering other people's situations, other people's questions, like really getting to the bottom of whatever their issue is. But the chances are you're not going to be satisfied with it, whatever answer you come out with, because, well, leave it with me. Let me think it through again. Let me send it around once more. And so the most important thing to understand about this 24th gateway is there's a difference between working for your mind, because the mind just is a runaway train, it's one that keeps on refining, or the mind works for you. And you bring the mind to a point of recognizing what it is that's worth thinking about, how far you're going to go with it if you are going to think about it. And one of those things, absolutely nothing to do with me, leave it alone. And so those people with a defined, with a 24 in it, you'll know that you really got to be in charge of this thing. You've really got to recognize, is this something I'm going to commit my attention to? Because this mind is just going to go round and round and round, refining, getting closer and closer to whatever this answer is supposed to be. And there's the other thing about it, do mental answers, mental solutions ever really completely satisfy you? Even if you get to that scintilla, that tiny little place where, yes, this is the answer, still the mind's going to say, yeah, I could do better. I could do it again. And so those with an undefined mind center will know, very good at sorting out other people's issues for them, because your mind, with an undefined mind, you are working on things according to other people's mental processes. That's how the mind has got programmed. It works according to other people's mental software, if you will. And yeah, the mind can just run away with something. And you'll see, because you're so good at sorting out other people's issues, people will track you down. Can you look at this for me? Will you think about this for me? Can you work this out? I can't make head or tail of it. I know you're good at answering these things. Can you have a go at it for me? And so you say, all right, leave it with me. I'll think it over. Come back in a week. During that week, the mind is going round and round and round and round and round and round. And the person comes back in a week and they say, well, did you come to an answer on this one? And you give it, boom. And they go, wow, how did you come to that understanding? How did you get to that? That's amazing. Thank you so much. Bye. So, there really is that thing of the runaway mind, or the mind that is really focused for you. So I call this the gateway of deep thought. And if you've ever read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and you came to that part in the storyline where People want to know what's the answer to life, the universe, and everything. And they're talking to this supercomputer. And the supercomputer says, go away, come back in, 10,000 years or whatever. And sure enough, history goes by, things go by, and all of a sudden the date comes. And they go back to ask, what's the answer to life, the universe, and everything? And, the computer does its thing, and it says the answer is 42. That's it. So, I'm making fun of this in a way. I mean, the 24 is this gateway of this extraordinarily rationalizing ability, extraordinary mental process, deep, deep, deep thought. But you've got to work out, you've got to trust your type and authority. Do I need to go there? And just because somebody's got an issue, is it my job to sort it out for them? So let's have a look, see in the wheel where we are here. We're in the bottom left-hand corner now, and we see the other end of a potential channel here is the gateway number 61. So here we see this dynamic, the 61, the gateway of inner truth. What is the truth? What is the story? Can the mind grasp what the truth is? And the 24 says, let me have a go at it. Let me have a look. Let me sort it out. Let me see if I can really get to the truth here. And so this whole mental sequence goes on. Apart from being a potential part of this channel with the 61, the 24 is also one of what we call the directional gates. It's called returning. That means the direction is coming inwards. I'm going to sort this out. I'm going to think it through. I'm going to cogitate, ruminate, work it all out. And there are 4 of these directional gates. The other ones are the 19, the gateway called approach moving outwards, checking into everybody else's needs. The 33, the gateway of retreat, going back in, percolating things, letting things settle. What's the real answer to this whole experience I've gone through? Is there a moral to it all? And then the 44, which is the one that's called coming to meet. Again, this sense of going out and this gateway of instinct. And I call it the gateway of patterns, where following a single thread, you can work out a whole story of the whole pattern, the whole sequence, just from following a single instinct about something. And so the 24 is the whole mental concept of thinking things through, letting them settle, and eventually potentially coming out with an answer. What's the answer to truth? And so let's have a look at the chop marks itself. We have, as I said, the solid broken at the bottom, which is the arousing, the shock, the thunderclap, the lightning bolt. And then we got the 3 broken on the top, which are the receptive. And so, this is the solid line at the bottom indicates, a new commencement, and it's going to go through this whole realm of thinking processes or wanting to know the answer. So here we are, returning, the gate of rationalizing. What goes around in the mind comes around in the mind until cycles become spirals. Right? You can't come to an answer going around the same old loop. Sooner or later, you've got to evolve. You've got to take the thing up a notch. Cycles become spirals and innovation and transformation happen. All of a sudden, you get it. Right? But it can be an intense process. And if you're thinking about things that really aren't worth thinking about, be advised. And here we have the commentary. By cycling through refined solutions, right? This is a refining mental process, constantly looking in an individual way. What is the truth, right? We're in the individual circuitry in human design. And in a sense, this 24th gateway is an echo of gateway number 3 that we looked at just recently. Gateway number 3 in the lower side of the sacral center, the gateway of innovating. Right, that is innovating actions and movements and expressions of energy. And the 24, in a sense, is innovating through the mental process. What is the truth here? We've got all these concepts and ideas and things we've already been playing with, historical precedent and all these other ideas that may come about. What can be refined in this particular moment? What is from the truth? What can we see here? So here, by recycling through refined solutions, you come to know the limitations of rational thought. You can rationalize forever and still not arrive anywhere in particular, because the mind will just keep on going and going and going. Knowing is experienced in silence. This is found things that can be appreciated by this 24th gateway, when it literally grinds to a halt, when it literally comes to that moment in time, that space where all of a sudden you know. And what we really appreciate about this is knowing is something completely different than knowledge. Libraries, the internet, everything's full of knowledge. Scriptures, historical books, all full of knowledge. We did this, we did that, we did the other. You know, so-and-so did this, they had a great time with it. So-and did that, was a disaster. But this is all about recognizing what is my appreciation of truth. What's going on inside me, and that in that moment of silence, you have the opportunity to get it. So the 24th gateway, yeah, it can be a mind that's a runaway train out of control, but it can also be a mind that guides you to that place where literally you come into a place of not knowing. And in that not knowing, everything is revealed, that just all of a sudden you know. Funny way of saying it, but it's what meditation's all about. Coming to that place of inner quiet, nothing going on, where you're in it, where you are this, and everything is revealed in that space. Let's have a look, see at the lines here. So we're starting with first lines as always. And the first line with the 24 is called being principled, right? And what is the principle? A constant need to review what is personally meaningful, right? We're in the individual circuitry here. This is all about, you know, what is personally empowering in this thought process. Am I thinking about junk, or am I thinking about things that actually are relevant and can guide me to that precious place of knowing? Your mental processes can excuse you from living your own truth for one rationale or another. You know, bright, shiny object. Oh, I should think about this. Oh, this is all interesting. And then you get tangled up in things that actually are not principles in terms of your growth and your appreciation and your knowing about life. I mean, there's one thing we have to know is knowing about ourselves. That's the thing, you know, we are this after all. So the sun here, you have the clear intent to proceed in life while aligning firmly with your principles, right? Dismissing those things that are irrelevant and staying on track with those things that are, but seeing also there's a limit to how far the mind can get to something. Sooner or later, it has to let go. And that's what I say about this whole book of lines, you know, read the lines, read each line, and then sit with it. The line, the words of the line, the cadence of the lines will guide you into recognizing an aspect of yourself. And all of us, you know, in simple terms, are all a genetic continuity. We don't have lines that disagree with each other. All of these things combine together to make our unique presence here. So the other side of the 24 with the first line is you reassess obscure thoughts while justifying inaction and lack of conviction. Right? You go back over the same old ground over and over and over again. You keep returning to the same thought patterns as though there was going to be a different or a more consequential answer to it all. And there isn't. And in the meantime, you stay in a place of inaction and lack of conviction. You never come to a clear point of view. And again, we're always saying with human design, trust your type and authority, always. Right? The mind is a wonderful device. The second line here is called renewing, attracting a loving environment while under duress. I think all of us can know the consequence of overthinking things. And it's so easy to be beset by things by situations and problems and difficulties where the mind just jumps into it and wants to work it all out and think it through somehow or other. And what this line says is, look, just don't disappear from this, but do attract a loving environment. What's a loving environment? One that makes you feel present and appreciated. All adversity brings growth. when you remember who and what truly aids and inspires you. We're in the individual circuitry. The individual circuitry is full of potential melancholy, the depression, the elation. And the second line, in its natural process of looking to find the knowing, looking to find a way through a situation with the mind. And it just says great growth can happen through this, provided you remember who and what really aids and inspires you, lifts you up. You're constantly reattuning to empowering, evolving concepts that bring benefits. Great thing if you can do that. You just stay light with it. You stay present with it. The other side of it, you easily isolate yourself from common concerns as though you are all alone. And the second line can take that stance sometimes. It's just me. You know, nobody gets me. Nobody understands this thing. And so it's quite easy to get isolated when it looks like there's just too many things to think about and you can't find a solution and you can't find any satisfaction from the things that go on in your mind anyhow. So the whole thing with the second line is renewing, come back again. You know, do I really need to be thinking about this? Does this really merit my attention? Perhaps if I take consideration of my type and authority, I'll more quickly find what it is that really brings relief or really brings satisfaction for me. The third line, being indecisive, trying to think your way through life. Have we all been in that space one time or another where we're trying to think our way through and realize how completely ridiculous that is? Life is not logical. Life does not work according to our brains or how our brains have been programmed. And the third line is always in this place of trial and error. And it's like, there must be an answer around here somewhere. I should be able to work it out. I mean, there must be something that really is important for me to find out here. And the more energy that goes into trying to think your way through, the more indecisive you become. And the less it is easy to find a way through. So always we're saying, you know, get out of your head. You know, if you can, stand on the other side of the road from your mind. Watch how your mind thinks. And watch how it, you know, just wants to get in and take over everything. And we're just saying, get back into your type and authority. Really recognize. Now, this doesn't mean to say you've got a great mind. You can work out all kinds of things for other people. You can work out all kinds of things for yourself, but it's just that thing of the more you rely on the mind, the less easy it's going to be. A reliance on old, rotating mental concepts can bring you successes, but no lasting satisfaction. Old rotating mental concepts, same old, same old, same old, right? We're saying this is something that has to inevitably go off into a spiral to have any real innovative properties about it. By softening your mental attitudes, you can be open to other means of being guided, right? Softening your mental attitudes, right? Get out of your head, right? Sit, be in nature, be in something different. Expand, listen to music. This gateway is very acoustic, like everything in the individual circuitry. Be attentive. The other side of it, you vacillate between many possibilities without conclusions. The thinkaholic. Right? Does that word work? I don't know. But I think all of us can just see, you know, you get these massive furrows in your head and it just thinking. And it's the same, you know, for anyone with an undefined mind center in human design. If you've got wrinkles in your forehead, you need to pay attention. What on earth am I spending all my time thinking about? Is there any kind of justification, any kind of reward for this? And those of us that have that mental center defined, yeah, there can be a great potential to overthink everything. And so the third line really says it's not going to get you anywhere, overthinking stuff. The fourth line, being attentive, right? We are in the mental awareness center here. So being attentive, like really, like I say, standing on the other side of the road, watching how your mind thinks, like be objective in how does the mind get drawn to certain things? How does it want to get caught up and involved in things? And here it says, cultivating mental clarity while in the company of others. How easy it is to be caught up in other people's thought processes that distract us from finding out our own knowing. Knowing is a unique process. Knowledge is, everybody's got knowledge, beliefs. But knowing, when you know, you know. And that's what the 24th gateway and all the individual gateways in a way can guide us towards that. Got it. And as it says, it's in silence. That's when it happens. You need to look for the balance between an easy mental pattern and a personally correct one. Do you see the easy mental pattern? Well, I was shown how to do this. And everybody else thinks like that. I'll just follow along. I'll just join the dots together. Or the personally correct one, I have my own unique way, my own principled way of recognizing what thought patterns serve me and what don't. Your disciplined review recognizes wrong options and realigns them with personal truth. There is something about the 61 and the 24, that channel at the top of the chart there. People with the 61, they can spot nonsense right away. They can tell when somebody is not telling the truth. They can pick out a lie. They can it doesn't sound right, amongst other things. And the 24 has something of the same thing. But the 24 just wants to go in and work things out anyhow. That's the tendency. So here it says your disciplined review recognizes wrong options and then realigns them with personal truth. We are all here to find our personal truth, regardless. And the other side of it, a dreamy nature promotes fantasy realms rather than allowing you to face your reality. Fifth line. Fifth line's in the role of the leader, the guide, and the mental process that can really work things out for the benefit of everybody. And here it's called returning. The resolution to renounce false trails and resume invention. And it's, there's something of an echo of the fourth line here. The fourth line wants other people to be involved, but it's saying be really clear while in the company of other people. Stay with your truth. And the fifth line has that same thing where people are kind of projecting onto them, you're supposed to do this and that and the other for us. And it just has to say, okay, I'm getting all this input, this projection onto me, what I'm supposed to be thinking about and how I'm supposed to solve everyone's problems for them. However, people are insisting I take this route. I have to be so clear. I'm going to stay with my own inventive process. Through clarity and determination, you make a clean break with the past and start afresh. There is always that precious first moment in something. New situation, new review of something. How about a complete reinvention? How about a completely new invention, something very, very different? Like break out of the past, get into the now. Empowering new inspirations is possible when you terminate stale ones. Right? Do I have to keep thinking about that old thing anymore? Do I still want to go along? No, let's break out and get into the now, get into the present. Let's see what's in store if I follow a direct, clear pathway forward with this mental process, this returning mind, this refining mind. The other side of it, a rigid rationalization of old concepts blocks any chance for you to be refreshed. Stay with the old, you're stuck with the old. And there's never, nothing's ever going to get reinvented out of that. It's just stuck within a loop. And what this whole hexagram is about is turning the loop into a spiral where you start recognizing new possibilities, new things. And we come to the sixth line, it's called relenting. Dropping old concepts in the face of life's new offerings. It is always a fresh moment. Present tense is the reality. Past, well, we all have ideas about what happened in the past. Future, well, we project out of the past, maybe the future will be like this. But the 24 is something very, very different. It's looking to engage right now in this. What is the thought process that's really needed in this particular moment in time? And so the sixth line says, I'm relenting, I'm dropping all these old ideas, these old concepts, the things I worked with before, what used to work perhaps. Dropping old concepts in the face of new inventions, new offerings. Past missteps need not limit the range of new choices if you revisit your own clear authority. Bottom line, what does your authority guide you towards? Does it just say, hey, mind, go on, think about anything you want? Or does it say, maybe I'll put my attention into something different? Maybe I don't need to think about that at all. Meditation is very much a part of this thing of recognizing how the mind works, be able to stand apart from the mind, be able to transcend the mind's activity, whether you have the mind center defined or not. It is that ability to transcend, to step aside, to watch the mental process. And here, your relaxed and rational thought process recognizes and welcomes all of life's gifts. Life is a miracle. Let's just work on that basis. Life is a miracle. Nobody knows what this thing is. We're having this extraordinary experience here. Who gave us this body thing, and how it works and how it looks after itself and how it takes us into all kinds of adventures. And we take it for granted so much. And here it's saying, your relaxed and rational thought process recognizes and welcomes all of life's gifts. Life is amazing. The other side of it, obstinacy, can cause irrational worries and hinder personal development. I guess we've all been caught up in irrational thought processes sometimes. We allow ourselves to be dragged away into some kind of fantasy or situation, or just say, well, I'm not going to deal with it. I'm going to stay rigid. And we can see particularly in this time in the world, nothing much is staying rigid. All the systems are falling apart. Whatever you look at, health systems, financial systems, political systems, nationality systems, governmentals, the whole thing's coming unglued. We're going to this Aquarian age, which is the age of personal responsibility. And one of the great things we can do for ourselves is take charge of our mind and our mental process. And just watch, how's this thing being programmed? It is, after all, a biocomputer. And the 24th gateway is a magical gateway. When we see it just comes around and around and around. And it's like, why am I keep going around with this? Is it even interesting to me in the first place to be thinking about this? Or is it the faster it goes around, the more I get worried about life? The answer is not there in the 24. The answer is in the gap, in the silence, in the knowing.